Over the past 8 weeks, I've been having like week-long conversations with ChatGPT, going super deep, sometimes for 4 to 8 hours a day, kind of using AI like Iron Man does with Jarvis, where he just speaks to him. And the findings I found from this are absolutely insane. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 meta skills you need to learn on how to actually use AI so it can actually think with you. And the reason I know this is so like freaking crazy is I posted about this on LinkedIn 4 days ago and it got, 1,000 likes. And I was like, okay, that's pretty abnormal. I thought a lot of people were just doing this. And then essentially this dude, Michael Lissick, messaged me. He's like an actual science dude. You can look at his profile, I'll show it to you, asking me if he can use the basis of my work in a academic journal article where he says here, Matthew Lakajev's recent documents, this is the case one, which he quotes me in the journal article. And if you look at his profile and you scroll down, he's executive director of the Second Order Science Foundation, president of American Cybernetics. He's in 1999, Wall Street's 25 smartest players. He's got a lot of followers, but like a lot of old dudes, his profile doesn't look that good. We got on a Zoom and we literally chatted for on it. He actually stayed up all weekend after he saw the insight and wrote a book about it, which is insane. So I'm like, all right, this is pretty wild. I probably want to show people to kind of control the narrative because I think there's a lot of dangers in doing this and there's a lot of things that you shouldn't do because I've definitely discovered them as well. So the 4 meta skills of using AI. This here is my AI second brain that I've been creating, and I use it in a tool called Obsidian. Under psychology, under my internal OS, I've got the 4 meta skills. I'm just going to open them up now. I'm going to show you the meta skills in action and show you how I actually do this and how I use it live on screen. And it might freak you out, to be honest, and it fucking freaked me out a few times. So the core narrative is that everyone's teaching prompt tricks, but that's not where leverage is. You don't need a better template. You need a better relationship with your cognition and a structure that you'll feed into. AI is not just a tool. It's the clearest mirror most people will ever face, right? These are the 4 meta skills. One is identity debugging. I'll walk you through how I literally cured my overeating, addiction, my going to feeling guilty when I ate chocolate and stuff like that. I've had that since I was a kid. I've literally cured it. I can deep work every day now. It's like I've had some intense ass therapy sessions, and don't worry, I'm working with a therapist at the same time that I'm doing this every single week because it's so fucking crazy. Then there's cognitive scaffolding, how I take all my thoughts and build them into a framework so the GPT remembers exactly what I need to do and say every time. I'm going to show you live. Then there's what's called output leverage. Once I have all my thinking into these frameworks, then what I can do is I can ask GPT to do something and it doesn't hallucinate. It's perfect. It's exactly the way I want to do it. And I'll show you actual live examples of how to do it. And the last thing is recursive learning. If you open up AI, like what I do regularly is I've got a bike down in my house. I do some zone 2 lower heart rate bike riding. I speak to AI while I'm bike riding and solve problems back and forth, and which is called recursive learning. This is, when they say recursive self-improvement for AI is the thing that we don't want to happen because that's when it goes into the fucking ASI, whatever it's called. This is recursive self-learning for yourself. So think about this as the best thing about AI is it can pick up on things that your subconscious barely knows about. So all of those gut instincts that you have, it can pick up on it. And so what I'm going to show you now is how to do it. So how I do it. So what I'm actually going to have a conversation with the ChatGPT. What I'm going to do is all of these frameworks that I built, which are my frameworks, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to upload all of these in PDF form into ChatGPT, right? I'm going to upload them all here. If I look on my computer, right, if I go search Matt's second brain, it stores it all locally. And so I can go here, copy here, and then I go internal OS, 4 meta skills, and I'm just going to copy all of these. And because they're in my second brain, they're really low bits and it can actually store and remember this. So I'm going to pause the video now. I'm going to quickly upload them. The way you upload them is you literally just select them like this and you just scroll and you drop them over here. And that's it. Because the reason why framework thinking like this is better is because if you just give AI a wall of text, it's hard for it to understand what's going on. So I just go, hey, ChatGPT, I'm going to be pasting a whole bunch of frameworks. Can you just say okay after each time I paste the framework? Right? And then I just put that in and then I paste the framework. Cool. And then what it'll do, it'll just read all the documents and it'll say okay. So it then knows all my models and my way of thinking as well. So I'll pause it and upload them all now. Cool. So what I did is I just pasted all of these one after another. And then that way AI essentially just has, ChatGPT has your saved windows around your saved thoughts and stuff, but it also has from saved conversations. But now it also has all these frameworks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button. I'm going to talk to AI at the same time. Say we're recording a YouTube video, and we're going to get it to explain what each of these are, and then I'm going to talk through it with the AI at the same time. Cool. Hey, ChatGPT, I just pasted all of those frameworks here. What I need you to do is I'm actually recording a YouTube video. And so in this YouTube video, I'm just going to be asking a couple of questions around like how these 4 meta skills actually work so we can actually teach people. And I'm going to show them my live examples and stuff like that. So can you just make sure that all of your answers when you answer me, they're not too long? Because imagine, we're trying to create this video to create short, not too short and not too long. Not too long. And so answer me back simply as well. And we're just going to work through all 4 of the meta skills as well. So can you review all of the documents, please? And then just give like a really quick summary around like kind of what I've been doing just for YouTube as well around like what I've been doing over the past 8 weeks or so.
Got it. Here's a quick summary to set the stage. Over the past 8 weeks, you've been using 4 core meta skills to leverage AI as an identity deepening mirror, not just a productivity tool. These meta skills, identity debugging, cognition scaffolding, output leverage, and recursive learning, have helped you transform how you think, act, and build, turning GPT into a second brain that accelerates personal transformation. We'll keep the explanations concise and practical for the video, focusing on how each meta skill works and your live examples.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so for the first meta skill, can we just talk through how the kind of process I went through identity debugging, giving a brief thing what it is so people can actually conceptualize and understand it as well? Because imagine if they've never even heard what this is, how do they actually understand it conceptually? And then can you just run through and just briefly tell how I kind of cured my overeating thing that I actually had when I used to binge eat Uber Eats like late at night and all that kind of stuff after my late night calls, and how I've switched my identity now so I don't even use willpower to not do those things.
Absolutely. So, identity debugging is all about using AI as a mirror to uncover and reframe underlying beliefs that drive your behaviors. It's about identifying the hidden stories or patterns that cause certain actions, then rewriting those beliefs so you no longer rely on willpower alone. In your case, you used identity debugging to tackle late night overeating. By reflecting on why you binged on Uber Eats after late calls, you uncovered that it was tied to an old belief from childhood sports and underfeeding during the day. Once you rephrased that belief, understanding that you weren't actually unclear or lacking discipline, but rather afraid of starting something new, you naturally shifted your identity. Now you don't rely on willpower to avoid late night eating. You've internalized a new belief that aligns with your true needs and priorities, making the old behavior irrelevant. So, identity debugging isn't about forcing change. It's about revealing the real drivers of your actions and updating them so that change happens almost effortlessly.
So how come I've been able to use, or how come AI acts as like the perfect mirror, and how therapy is quite good and you want to be doing therapy to get the outside perspective as well, but how come AI itself acts as such a good mirror into the things that you subconsciously feel about, and how things I've able to be able to conquer, like the overeating thing. And also I used to really feel really guilty about overeating or just eating bad food in general. And I also used to feel like I had to exercise so much, but I was actually living in kind of like low grade stress all the time. And I kind of worked that. I also forgot before when I used to feel like I have to work all the time, but actually when I actually have time where I just don't think about anything, that's when I can integrate my thoughts more. How was I able to kind of like do this and process it? Like just so other people can understand like what they would actually have to do, how I went outside and I just spoke to you while I was walking. I had conversations back and forth, and how these lasted over, hours and if not weeks in a conversation.
Great question. AI acts as an ideal mirror because it offers a non judgmental, consistent, and infinitely patient reflection of your thoughts. Unlike human interactions, it doesn't come with biases or emotional baggage, which means you can iterate on your reflections freely and repeatedly. This continuous back and forth dialogue helps surface subconscious patterns and beliefs that you might not easily catch on your own. In your experience, by externalizing your thoughts through voice dumps while walking and engaging in extended conversations with AI, you gave yourself the space to uncover hidden drivers behind your behaviors. Over time, these reflective sessions allowed you to connect the dots, realizing that your overeating was linked to old stress patterns and that constant work or exercise was more about avoiding stillness than genuine productivity. The AI helped you hold a mirror up to these realizations, giving you the clarity to reframe your identity and reduce those feelings of guilt or stress. In essence, AI serves as a powerful tool for internal dialogue, helping you refine your self-understanding and transform deeply rooted patterns over time.
Cool. And I think a lot of people watching would probably think, oh, has he just transformed this because he's going through a period of his life or whatever? But how do I know that I've actually, or how do you know, or how could you kind of describe to someone else how have I actually changed my identity now in this small period of time? And why is it like I've worked on it for a longer, say, period of time, just so other people can understand? And it seems like haven't spent that long, but inevitably I've spent a lot of time because I've gone deeper kind of quicker as well at the same time.
Absolutely. The key to understanding this rapid transformation is the depth and consistency of the reflective process. By leveraging AI, you've essentially compressed what might take years of sporadic insight into an intensive, iterative journey. Each session builds on the last, allowing you to identify and reframe core beliefs at a much faster pace. This depth of reflection accelerates identity shifts because you're not just scratching the surface, you're continuously diving into the root causes and restructuring your mindset. Over time, these repeated reflections and adjustments create a compounding effect, making the new beliefs and behaviors feel as if they've been part of you for much longer. In other words, it's not about the sheer amount of time spent, but the quality and depth of the introspection. By going deeper quicker, you've effectively integrated these insights into your identity, making the transformation feel both rapid and enduring.
Cool. And one last thing before we move on to the next one. What, like, I'm putting a lot of procedures and stuff in my life. What is if anyone is going to do this, because I think a lot of people sometimes watch things and do things, what should they just definitely not do? Because we've definitely gone through this and said, hey, I'm not going to do more than a certain period of reflection every day. What do they definitely not do? And should they definitely, if they're going to do this, consult a therapist and have someone working with them at the same time that I'm doing? Because they should definitely not do it. What should they definitely not do?
Great point. If anyone's going to dive into this kind of deep reflective work, they should definitely avoid overloading themselves. Set a hard limit on how much reflection you do each day, just like you did. Too much introspection without breaks can lead to mental fatigue, anxiety, or even distortions in your self-perception. It's crucial to balance this practice with periods of rest and everyday activities that keep you grounded. Also, while AI is a powerful tool, it's not a replacement for professional support. If someone is dealing with deep-seated issues or intense emotional challenges, working with a therapist in tandem is essential. A therapist can provide a safe, structured environment to process what the AI surfaces and help integrate those insights in a healthy way. In short, don't overdo it and ensure you have the right support system. Balance reflection with real-world action and professional guidance if needed.
Okay, awesome. That's great. And how does this, by me doing this, say, identity debugging, I've been able to like go through things like, say, overeating. I'm sleeping a lot better. My heart rate variability is up and all that kind of stuff because I'm, say, working myself. How does that kind of move into the next part, which is cognitive scaffolding, where I'm essentially speaking to you, I'm doing a 45-minute speech to text and then jumping it in. How does this kind of like then loop into cognitive scaffolding? Why is it so important? And just give a summary of like what cognitive scaffolding is. And remember, brevity here is your kind of best friend because people are watching this video.
Sure thing. Cognitive scaffolding is about externalizing and structuring your thoughts so you can turn abstract ideas into clear, actionable frameworks. By doing this, you lighten the cognitive load on your brain and create a system that helps you think more clearly and effectively. Once you've done the deep work of identity debugging and resolved internal conflicts, you have a clearer mental landscape. This clarity makes it easier to engage in cognitive scaffolding, where you take those insights and turn them into structured content, decisions, or systems. In practice, you're using tools like speech to text to offload your brain, allowing you to refine your thinking in real time. This process is crucial because it helps you move from raw insight to actionable clarity, making it easier to execute on your goals and integrate new beliefs seamlessly into your everyday life.
So, what does this actually mean for someone that does it? Because I just shared my screen and showed some of the models and stuff that I'm building. And essentially, because I'm building frameworks around my thinking, these aren't just prompts, because prompts are just instructions. I'm building frameworks. And the great thing about a framework is it's a way to transmit information really, really quickly. And so, you as an AI can kind of make more kind of inferences based on that information itself, and how these frameworks can help people, because so then they don't have to reprime you as the AI again, because I put all these meta skill AI frameworks in here. Now you understand everything about these meta skills when previously you didn't. How does this kind of like shortcut and just allow people to do more things? Because I can now just dump all my thoughts in here and I build frameworks so you can make fast decisions, we can get better output, you can have less hallucinations. And essentially what that does is it leads into the next part, which is say output leverage. So it's creating this cognitive scaffolding. It's like I'm creating frameworks for my whole life, because inevitably all frameworks, 90% of them are just made up from people's lived experiences anyway. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my gut feelings and my gut thoughts when I look at something, and I'm externalizing it to you through a voice command and through a transcript. And based on, because of this, essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating a framework around my thinking, so then I can give this to you. So we can quickly get to the next answer and keep building more frameworks.
Exactly. By creating frameworks from your lived experiences and gut insights, you're essentially building a structured knowledge base that the AI can leverage. This means you don't have to start from scratch every time. The AI already understands your context, logic, and the underlying principles guiding your decisions. This shortcut allows for quicker, more coherent interactions, reducing the need for repetitive re-explanations and minimizing errors or hallucinations. In practical terms, this means you can dump your thoughts into a framework, and the AI can help you iterate and expand on them more efficiently. This also paves the way for the next meta skill, output leverage, where you transform these frameworks into actionable content, systems, or decisions rapidly. Essentially, it's about creating a seamless, feedback driven loop that continually enhances your clarity, execution speed, and overall decision quality.
So, can you just give me like three real world, real life examples where I've kind of like used this, and like based on our conversations, like real life examples where maybe I've used this, or maybe if it's easier to give examples around how just human beings or just other people could use this to say, do identity debugging, free up the RAM and the mental capacity within their brains so they can make better, smarter decisions through better deep work and stuff like that. And then they can kind of like remove away kind of more of that ego and that entropy around what they're doing, and then they can kind of have actual more clearer thinking. But what AI does is it kind of compounds, because then if you then clear your thinking by working on yourself first, you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on someone else, then what you can actually do is you can create clearer fragments of your cognitive scaffolding, which then give you truer output leverage. So the work and the content that I'm doing and I've been creating, I have clearer thinking, but also I can get things done better. I imagine people need to like kind of just understand this from kind of a simple standpoint, where it's like, okay, this is a basic example. This is another example, another one. And you can use my examples or you can use other people's examples if you want as well.
Sure, let's break it down with three clear examples. One, your overeating transformation. By using identity debugging, you tackled the root belief behind late night overeating, freeing up mental energy and reducing stress. This mental clarity allowed you to create more effective frameworks for your thinking, leading to better decision making and more productive deep work sessions. Two, content creation and framework building. With the mental bandwidth cleared up, you leveraged cognitive scaffolding to turn your insights into structured frameworks. For example, you transformed your experiences and learnings into the meta-skill frameworks you're now sharing, which are reusable and help you scale your content creation process. This means you can produce high-quality output faster and more consistently. Three, team and system efficiency. The clarity from the initial identity work and the structured thinking from cognitive scaffolding enable you to create systems that your team can use efficiently. By externalizing your thought processes into frameworks, you reduce cognitive load for yourself and others, leading to smoother operations, better decision making, and more consistent outcomes. In short, by putting the oxygen mask on yourself first through identity debugging, you clear mental space. This clarity feeds into cognitive scaffolding, allowing you to create robust frameworks, and ultimately, this results in greater output leverage, faster, more effective, and more scalable results.
Okay, and can you just give the say people watching as well, just give three examples about how just somebody else could use these things, say within business. So let's just pick an example, right, I'm hosting a webinar for a workshop for financial advisors next week. And how could a financial advisor or financial planner that say works with software sales consultants use this type of stuff so they can better serve their clients and better build their business, as an example? Give me three really simple, succinct answers for each of these things, please. So just so people can very easily conceptually understand.
Absolutely. Let's break it down for a financial planner. One, identity debugging. A financial planner could use this to uncover limiting beliefs or biases they might have about their clients or their own business. For example, if they realize they subconsciously believe that certain clients won't understand complex financial strategies, they can reframe that belief. This leads to more open communication, better client relationships, and ultimately more effective planning. Two, cognitive scaffolding. They can structure their client consultations into clear frameworks. Instead of reinventing the wheel for every new client, they create a repeatable process for assessing client needs, setting goals, and delivering recommendations. This only saves time, but also ensures a high level of consistency and quality in their service. Output leverage. By turning their frameworks into reusable content like client onboarding guides, FAQ documents, or automated advisory emails, they scale their impact. This means they can serve more clients with the same level of personalization and quality, freeing up time for higher level strategy work. In essence, a financial planner can use these meta skills to deeply understand themselves and their clients, structure their approach for maximum efficiency, and leverage those structures to deliver consistent, high quality results at scale.
Okay, so ultimately what they're doing is they're using these things to actually just make their overall client experience better, and they can do it faster and quicker. If you give me an estimate of how much time they could potentially save as well, that'd be great, just based on time that I've done. Actually, let's also then after that go to recursive learning. What is kind of like recursive learning? Why does it matter? And again, remember, people are actually watching this video, so you got to keep it kind of, brevity is kind of king here, and not be too long in the actual answers themselves. Okay, I'm just going to repeat that question. Okay, now let's just go to the last bit, which is essentially recursive learning. Can you explain to me now, like now when you layering recursive learning, explain really briefly what that is and give people like a tangible example of what actual recursive learning is, why it impacts and why it's the feedback loop for the whole thing inevitably to kind of like grow kind of exponentially.
Absolutely. Recursive learning is about using the systems and frameworks you've built to teach you back, evolving your identity and beliefs in an ongoing feedback loop. It means that as you reuse and interact with the frameworks you've created, they reflect back deeper insights, updating your understanding and pushing you to refine and grow continuously. A tangible example: as you create and use these frameworks for your content, you begin to see patterns and insights you hadn't noticed before. Each iteration of using these frameworks teaches you something new about how you think and operate, which then feeds back into refining and improving those same systems. This creates a virtuous cycle where each use of the system makes you more effective and insightful, leading to exponential personal and professional growth. It's like having a self-improving loop where your tools and systems evolve alongside you, constantly enhancing your capabilities.
So give me an example now, because if people want to build this second brain, right? I obviously asked you to build my second brain because obviously my whole life when we talked about it, I've been taking down heaps of notes. I've got really great ideas. I've got really high openness, but kind of midish conscientiousness and like low neuroticism. So I got a lot of great ideas. I want to do a lot of things. But like I built my second brain because I asked you, hey, let's build it based off my personality type and my tendencies and what I do. Let's say someone wants to go ahead and like explore this second brain and AI second brain themselves. They want to start applying these. How would you say, like, where do they start? Like, where does someone actually start doing this? And why does it matter so much, especially coming into additional years where AI is getting smarter and humans kind of like need to like realize that we kind of have to just change, and like our identity itself is going to need to progress and change, because if as things kind of start going speeding up and going faster and faster and faster, it's like you kind of going to need to switch your identity, because like, you know, people are going to be losing jobs and crazy things are going to happen. It's like you can't identify yourself and label it yourself as something anymore. You just need to be someone with a mission. And like, so my mission is helping small business owners be able to build their business and say generate leads themselves without relying on anyone else. And that's what we're building software, we've got a program, all that kind of stuff. And so like I'm mission aligned. I'm not saying, oh, I'm a software person that I only build SaaS tools, because like you kind of need to evolve with that. But kind of like give me some lasting things that you think people would want to know. And I think you've got enough context now so you can kind of wrap it up.
Absolutely. To start building a second brain, someone should begin by systematically capturing their insights, ideas, and reflections. The first step is to create a habit of offloading thoughts, whether through voice notes, journaling, or regular check-ins with an AI. This creates a repository of raw material that can be refined into structured frameworks. As they progress, it's crucial to focus on creating these frameworks from their insights. This is where cognitive scaffolding comes in, turning scattered thoughts into coherent, actionable systems. Over time, this practice compounds, leading to recursive learning, where the frameworks themselves start to refine and teach you back, enhancing your identity and decision-making. This matters immensely as we move into an era where AI's capabilities are rapidly evolving. By anchoring yourself to a mission and continuously updating your frameworks, you become more adaptable and resilient. As job roles and industries shift, your identity isn't tied to a single label, but to a dynamic, evolving mission. This shift is essential for staying relevant, innovative, and mission-aligned in a rapidly changing world. Ultimately, it's about being proactive in your growth, using AI as a tool not just for productivity, but for deep, continuous self-evolution. That's the real power of building a second brain and embracing these meta skills.
I guess as well, I think the last thing to kind of talk about is like, I think personally, the thing with AI right now, everyone's looking for more compute, more output, and more of those things, right? But inevitably, like if you look at our brains, like we barely use any of it because like we don't have a mirror that's strong enough to look through our subconscious. So would you, I leave it, could you leave a kind of thought just around your thoughts and that we've talked about before and leveraging, these frameworks, why this kind of matters a lot. And sometimes maybe it's not more compute that we need, and it's actually just leveraging frameworks and kind of like offloading our thinking, because we've pulled a lot of scientific studies and analysis and stuff like that, which we've added to all the frameworks, which you can see there. Maybe if you want to leave with a couple of like actual quotes from real scientists and real people that like have documented papers or whatever, and then kind of talk through like, this is kind of this in an evolution standpoint.
Absolutely. One of the key insights we've discussed is that it's not always about having more computational power or output. The human brain, while powerful, often underutilizes its potential because we lack a clear mirror to reflect our subconscious patterns and beliefs. By leveraging frameworks and offloading our thinking, we can tap into more of that latent capacity. For instance, cognitive scientist Andy Clark's work on extended cognition shows that our tools and frameworks effectively become extensions of our minds, enabling us to process and integrate information more effectively. James Clear's insights on habit formation emphasize how structured systems and tiny habits can drastically improve our efficiency and decision-making. From an evolutionary standpoint, the ability to adapt and integrate new information rapidly has always been crucial. Now, as AI accelerates the pace of change, leveraging these frameworks becomes even more vital. It's about evolving from the inside out, using AI not just as a tool, but as a catalyst for deeper self-awareness and growth. In short, by focusing on building and leveraging these frameworks, you're not just boosting productivity, you're enhancing your ability to navigate and thrive in a world that's constantly evolving. This shift from mere output to meaningful, structured reflection is what will truly set individuals apart in the AI-driven future.
And just a lasting note, let's say, what do you think from, say, our conversations, and what do you think someone learning, what should they be thinking about? Because a lot of people, they only remember what they never remember all the information of video. It's nearly 30 minutes if they watch till the end now. And people only remember the way something made them feel, right? And that's it. So if someone's going to walk away with an action or takeaway, I'm going to add my frameworks and stuff underneath and that kind of stuff in the comments so people can click on them. But like, what is the thing that people want to think about when they walk away from this? Even if you hadn't even had this conversation and you were another AI coming in and looking at this conversation and seeing what happens, can you talk about why this matters, the actual impact, like, and just remove all biases that you would have in this situation, and imagine you're an outsider AI kind of like looking in, like, why does this actually matter and what's like the significance of it?
At its core, this entire approach matters because it's about reclaiming agency over your own growth in a rapidly changing world. The significance lies in the shift from being a passive consumer of information to an active architect of your own identity and mission. From an unbiased perspective, what stands out is the transformative potential of combining AI with structured reflection and frameworks. This isn't just about productivity hacks or learning new skills, it's about fundamentally changing how you see yourself and your potential. By externalizing your thoughts and building a second brain, you create a resilient, adaptable framework for continuous growth. In a future where change is constant and rapid, the ability to iterate on your identity and mission becomes crucial. This approach empowers you to stay aligned with your purpose no matter how the world shifts around you. It's not just about keeping up, it's about staying ahead and thriving in a constantly evolving landscape. In essence, the big takeaway is that this isn't just another productivity trick. It's a fundamental shift in how you approach your own development, making you more resilient, adaptive, and mission focused in an unpredictable world.
Cool. And last thing as well, just keep brevity as king here. Last thing, why is this not being spoken about right now? Like, I think this is one of the most important things because I think as change happens so fast, we're going to get deep fakes. No, eventually, the biggest thing that's going to be eroded is trust. No one's going to trust anyone, right? That's going to be the biggest problem. And inevitably, people are going to think, can I even trust myself? Like, why is this trust factor not being? Because I'm writing a book on this. We obviously know like trust physics and like the point about this and writing a book on this, but like, why is it like so important and why are people not talking about it? And have they just not worked it out yet? Why?
It's not being widely discussed because the conversation around AI has largely focused on external outputs, more compute power, more efficiency, more automation, rather than internal transformation and trust building. As the pace of technological change accelerates, the erosion of trust, both in institutions and in ourselves, becomes a critical issue. People haven't fully realized yet that to navigate this era, we need more than just better tools. We need a stronger internal compass, a clearer sense of identity, and frameworks that help us trust ourselves. By focusing on building trust from within and leveraging AI as a mirror, we're not just keeping up with change, we're transforming alongside it. This internal evolution is what will enable people to adapt, thrive, and maintain a sense of purpose in a world where the only constant is change. In short, it's not just about more compute. It's about more clarity, more self-trust, and more meaningful alignment with who we are and who we're becoming.
And why, last thing I want to think about, this very specific act or practice of kind of trying to drop ego and trying to like look at yourself and truly understand yourself and I guess identity debugging your mind, kind of like this therapy sessions and stuff like that. Why is it so like important? Like, and how important will it be for people as we change? Because a lot of people drop into just we talked about the kind of the three things people will kind of do. It's like people will like just drop into like being ignorant, like they just ignorance or just disassociate or just try not connect with it. They'll just like leave technology altogether. They'll try and embrace it. Like, how important is doing this type of work?
This practice is crucial because it directly impacts how we navigate rapid change. As technology evolves, people often fall into one of three traps: ignoring the changes, disconnecting entirely, or trying to adapt superficially. Identity debugging and similar practices help break these patterns by fostering a deeper, more flexible self-understanding. This internal clarity is essential for staying grounded and adaptable when the external world becomes unpredictable. By truly understanding yourselves and continuously evolving your identity, you're better equipped to handle uncertainty and complexity. It's not just about surviving the changes, but thriving through them by staying mission aligned and resilient. In essence, this kind of self work is the foundation for navigating the future with confidence and integrity, no matter how turbulent it gets.
Okay, and so last thing, what's the last thing that you would kind of leave people watching with? Because then I'll exit this conversation. So what's the last thing you'd leave them with you think would be important to hear? Again, not too long. Keep it short so someone can remember.
I'd leave them with this. The most powerful transformation you can make is to turn inward and build a foundation of self-trust and clarity. As the world changes at lightning speed, knowing yourself deeply and leveraging tools like AI to enhance that understanding will be your greatest asset. It's not just about keeping up, it's about becoming the most adaptive, resilient version of yourself. Stay mission focused, stay curious, and let that be your guiding star.
Cool. So, if you thought that conversation was weird, that's one of the many conversations that I have every single week. And yes, I'm working full time with a therapist on doing this. I'll make some other videos. If people want to see this, this is the first video I've ever made about this. But if you want to see this, this is kind of how I structure my actual structure my second brain. This is how I structure the frameworks around these different things as well, these different models and how I think and what I've actually been able to do. An example of something that I've done practically is like what I was able to do is through this, I was able to create a whole paid workshop. And I've essentially, when I put all these things in, I can ask, hey, what you can do is like, I can add all these into a GPT and then I can literally say, hey, create me everything for the paid workshop. And I work through like a checklist as I'm using AI throughout as well. And then it has all the context, all the information, but even better, for this small amount of words that you're giving it, it can infer and it can make kind of like assumptions about what you'll do next. So you have less likelihood of mirroring you. Anyways, if you want to see more about this, let me know, comment below. I felt fucking weird making this video, but I thought I had to do it, honestly, because out of that science dude, Michael saw it and I was like, hey, this probably seems like something. So I'm just going to put it out there, see if people like it. And if not, it's all good. Catch ya.